Okay, my name is Dr. Magare Gikenyi. I'm a consultant trauma and general surgeon working at the county government of Nakuru. Trauma and consultant surgeon is a surgeon who essentially deals with trauma when you have, for example, you are involved in an accident, how you get managed, and the general surgeon essentially deals with surgery, essentially dealing with the surgeries involving the breast, the intestines, the thyroid, what we normally call matumbo in our normal language. Yes, besides being a surgeon, I do other works, like mainly I also am a human rights activist. So this issue of being an activist, I can say it started a long time ago. Maybe here I can give a short history about myself.
Please.
So I was born and raised in a village called Mokonge village, Bas Masige East and Bubas constituency within Kisii County some 40 years ago. So I'm a third born, now a family of 7. In total we're a family of 16, but my mom the second family of my mom Rose Magare's second family of the homestead of Thomas Magare.
Okay.
So we were 7 of us. So essentially we grew up well in Kisii County. Started my primary school at a school called Ogesaka Primary School. Then I went to Nyamarma Primary School. Then another one called Yakimon Primary School. I passed well in KCPE. Then I went to Kisii High School, which is in the year 1996. After that, then I went from Form 1. Of course, there was some challenges of school fees. So the good aspect of the school became what we call a work-study program, where students you work, then your fees gets paid. So we used to wake up very early in the morning, around 3 a.m. We want to milk the cows. Then from there we...
In high school?
Yes, in high school. Then we take the milk to the kitchen, so that now by the time the student wake up, come to take breakfast around 7, you find that we have already milked the cow, so that the money which would have been paid to workers, the fees was paid through that. Then after that, you take breakfast, then you learn from 8 to around 3. When people go for games, you also go back to the school farm to do what you call plucking of coffee. So you pluck coffee, then if you get around 5, 6, then you go and milk again.
That's
cows.
in Kisii school?
Yes, in Kisii school. You milk again now the evening milk for the school. So then you bring the milk to the school. Then the milk, essentially that milking aspect and the plucking of coffee helps me raise fees.
Yeah.
Because in the process, even during holidays, we never used to go to any holiday. We were with us with a couple of our colleagues, like Era Kombati, Simon Ondigo, among others. So we used to work in that group. So after working, at the end of the day, our fees gets paid, and I think I thank the school for doing that. I don't think it was a child labor, but that was my view, that they assisted us to get school fees. The other option is not working.
Okay.
Because in fact that's what essentially happened. In third year when I was in Form 3 to Form 4, there's another principal who came and now removed that program, that study program. So it made our work extremely difficult. We were not even able to pay fees. So we struggled, we were almost at home every day. So in fact, by the time I finished school, I had not scored what I scored. I scored a B+ from Kisii school, but I was not happy because I used to score A plain from Form 1 to Form 3. So, but after the study program was removed, I was almost at home most of the time. So because of that, it affected. I communicate essentially. Because of that grade, I then went and repeated the class in Form 4 in a school called Yakimon Secondary School, where I got an A plane. Then I was admitted at the University of Nairobi, where I did my degree in medicine and bachelor of medicine and bachelor of surgery. Yes, in fact, I was called to do engineering. Yes, I was called to do bachelor of engineering, electrical engineering. But I was really determined to go to do medicine because of what I underwent when I was young. Because, for example, we used to have our small dispensary when we were growing called Gikenyi dispensary. I used to go there sometimes, wait for a very long time when there were only 1 or 2 nurses there. So you wait so that they can give you medication for painkillers or for antimalarial. So sometimes you can go there 8, then you get served around 11 or 1. So I said, when I grow up, I want to make a change in society so that I can make this place a better place. There's some laziness in the aspect of the medical staff. Because sometimes you can hear them drinking some tea and laughing, having some joke while we are waiting the queue, but there's something you could have done. Yeah. So I think then also many. So I think it was a combination. Okay. In addition, we used also to face a lot of discrimination. We essentially came from a very poor family background. Even when we used to go to fetch water in the springs, in Kisi there's no taps. Just some pipe with some water, 2 pipes, one above, the one below. You just put your mtungi there, and the mud is full. So sometimes you can. Yes, yes. So those all those springs, you were forced to. When you go to fetch water, sometimes the boys there can tell you, they can fukuza you or tell you to wait. So until certain time, because we came from a very poor family background, he was near a place called Yekerema. So that one. So sometimes even when there was nobody fetching water, but they can tell us because we came from not so good family, we have to wait. They didn't give our reasons, but because there was nobody fetching, sometimes I said, just wait, you can't fetch, wait. So I said, when I grew up, I did, and sometimes we were not respectful, sometimes there's that fear, you can't fight and everything. I said, when I grew up, I want to make a better society. Yeah. So because of that, then I finished my medical school, after finishing, I worked at different hospitals. I went to internship at Thika Level 5 Hospital. Then later I was also transferred to Nakuru, PGH. That time the health was not devolved. It was under national government. Which year was that? That's 2008 I was in Thika, 2009 I was in PGH Nakuru. So then 2010 I went to Molo District Hospital, then to 2011 to Elbagon Nyayo Hospital. I became a doctor in charge between 2011 and 2013. Then in 2013, I went for my master's in general surgery at Moi University. I'd tried to apply master's to do in UN, but I did not succeed. Right. I think the reason they were giving is that when I was in the university undergrad, I used to be a student leader. Please tell me about that. Yes, of SONU Student Organization of Nairobi University. Initially I was a faculty rep, medicine. That's in the year 2006. Then I became also a campus rep of medical school in 2007. Mm-hmm. So that was 2004, 2005, then 5 and 6 years. Mm-hmm. So then like this, when you're a campus, if you're a student representative, sometimes you bring up ideas or demands of students. Mm-hmm. So that was an undergraduate. So when you come back for undergraduate, you will always see, even during interview, they can tell you were radical. So they remember. They remember. So they remember me. Yeah. So they used to ask me, because I applied almost 3-4 times. Yeah. I was not able to, but I applied in Moi. I was taken. Yeah. So Moi University started in 2013. I did well. I passed my exams. in 2017, when I was about to finish my postgraduate degree, there was some what I can call altercation. Let me call it like that, because in theater, before your patient comes, we used to we can discuss any issue, including politics. Yes. So there's an American doctor who came to Kenya. We were discussing with the American politics. So I was a Trump supporter, and the American doctor, a lady, was a Clinton supporter. So when I discussed, I know it was not happy that I was supporting Trump. I was just supporting him. I did not have a vote. I'm a Kenyan, so just like the way people support Manu. Yeah, but you are not even a player in that team. You don't even know where it comes. Yeah. But said and done, the doctor wrote a letter, the head of Department of Surgery. It's called the head of the department is called Dr. Musau. He wrote a letter saying that I'm not a good doctor in his opinion. But second, he also alleged that I'd gone to the funeral without covering, without leaving somebody to cover. But all the same, it was false, because I'd also told her that I'm going for the funeral. It's like supporting colleagues when they are bereaved.
So the American doctor was a lady?
Yes, was a lady, yes. Okay. So in addition to that, they also, because my experience in Kionyo, the dispensary, staff never used to come early. So I used to wake up very early, between 7:30 and 8. I'm within the clinic. The American doctor was also not happy that he was asking, why am I coming earlier? He thought I was maybe removing the patients from the hospital to take my own private clinic. I didn't have any. So those allegations wrote the chairman of the department alleging those. Then the chairman of the department wrote that letter to the dean, School of Medicine, was called Professor Thorn. Then after that, I was suspended. When I had gone to a leave, when I came back, I found out that I was suspended. I was told not to continue with my masters until they tell me. So the challenge I had with that is that I was not given a fair chance to also explain my side of the story. So essentially, I was condemned and hard. So we moved to the High Court.
You went to court?
Yes, for what they call injunction orders. We file a judicial review. It's a form of petition, but for what they call individual rights. Petition is also more than not affect public interest. But when you have individual rights, you raise what we call a judicial review. So I went to the High Court in Eldoret, and the court gave me an injunction orders. Injunction orders are orders which tells you, they call it conservatory orders. They tell you just relax, let the student continue learning as we hear and determine the case. So I continue with my case.
Yes,
my studies, yes, I continue with my studies very well. So while I was studying, then a week or two weeks later, the university, having realized that I've got an injunction, they talk with the Moi teaching and referrals, the hostel side. In medicine, when you learn, you need a university side, and the clinical side, you need a hostel side. They talk the institutions, and then the MTRH also now suspended me now. That I can attend classes, but I should not touch their patient. You can, but you do not add. Those times are not counted because you need clinical work. So I also went to court again against MTRH for an injunction. The court also listened and also agreed with me that he gave me what they call an injunction orders. And expert before even the others can hear. And they said, let the student continue in the hospital as the case is going. So I continue learning. Eventually, essentially, the court agreed. When now the substantive case was heard, the court agreed with me that they condemned me and her. So essentially, because of the two injunctions against the university and the hospital, I was able to finish and I graduate. So while dealing with those cases in Moi and MTRH,
Yes.
I was a county employee. The county had also stopped my salary because, for example, during that time there was a doctor strike, the 2016 doctor strike, which was prolonged more than 100 plus years.
150 days.
Yes. So because of that, they also pushed my completion date further. So while I was dealing with this issue of the university and the hospital, the county also stopped my salary.
Why?
That I've overstayed, which although it was beyond the strike, there's nothing I would have done to stop the strike. But because of the strike, when there's a strike, you can't learn. No doctors. There was even doctor strike. Then there was strike, which also affected lecturers. Yes, as a student, you cannot teach yourself. You can't examine yourself. We explained that to the county, but even having said that, we were three of us, our salary was stopped, but the other two salary was reinstated. All said and done. When I tried, the county refused completely to give me my salary. So this forced me also to move to court, the Employment and Labor Relations Court in Nakuru,
Yes.
for my salary during that time.
Yeah.
So the case went on, it ended in 2020, which essentially the court agreed with me that the count was also wrong.
Yeah.
So essentially those are the three cases which I started. So through those three cases plus what
After the case was
yes,
over.
the court said that I should be paid.
So I paid.
Yes, I was paid.
Okay.
So because of of those three cases plus water, and when I was fetching water, how I was being handled, I think that one, the true aspect told me that it's good to fight for justice in society. So I think that was the basis of starting what I can call public litigation life. So in the year 2020, that's when I started my public litigation. By that time, it was during Corona times. And by then, the Minister of Education, the late Professor Magare, and then the PS, Belio Sang, had released a circular that when the students went home because of Corona, that they would not consider term one. Term one will consider lost. I thought it's very unfair. The term was remaining just two weeks or a week. Why do you want to consider whole term lost? And the students were almost about to finish. Because this one will mean that there will be more extra fees for that extra term. The teachers, anything the teachers would have done would have gone to a loss. So I moved to court in Nakuru as a public interest litigation for quashing of those orders. So while we filed them, the ministry also realized that they had done wrong, and this also forced to rescind the decision of not considering term one. They said we now consider term one as part of the term
So
of the.
that was your first major win.
Yes. Yeah. So of course the Minister of Education changed. Yeah. And then I felt very happy that I've saved the whole term for all Kenyans. Yes. And essentially the court agreed with me that it was wrong. But they did not give specific orders, but that time the minister had already changed. So then I continued, I filed many public investigations. There was another one where President Ruto had nominated 40 judges, 41, one died, then there remained 40. Then President Ruto just picked 34 and left 6 on various allegations. And I saw when I read the constitution, I saw it was whatever he was doing was beyond his powers. So I moved to court, Nairobi, Milimani, asking for the 6 judges to be sworn in, because whatever aspect they were having, according to the constitution, one of the chairs recommends, and the president or another person has no powers to stop them. If you have any problem with the judge, you can raise that through what you call Article 168. You write a petition to chairs, but you cannot have somebody undergo grilling interview. They just say grilling. They ask many questions. Then a judge has a legitimate expectation of being appointed, then he gets recommended. So, but the court also agreed with me and ordered the president to appoint, if not the CJ to swear them in. So, of course, the case went me and the Katiba Institute. The case went to the Court of Appeal. It was going on, but that time then the new government came in, swore in the judges. But so this is among the many cases. There are filed many other cases, because there's another one which I was filing maternity and paternity leave. I wanted both men and women to have equal maternity and paternity leave. Currently, according to Section 29 of the Employment Act, women in 3 months, men 2 weeks. And all of them are a parental leave. So I filed a petition saying this is discrimination. Both of us are the parents. But the leaves are given by virtue that we were given, we are the parents. Of course, the court disagreed with me and dismissed the petition. But I appealed.
When was that?
I think 2023. They dismissed. Yes, I filed an appeal for the same. Then also, in addition, I also filed other public interest litigation, which also including IDs. There was a way which the Minister of Interior just wake up one day, say the ID will cost 1,000. A new ID initiative was never costing nil. But I asked myself that if you see very well, people who get IDs are the new Form 4s. These guys who have finished Form 4s use it too. What do they expect? What does the government expect them to get 1,000? I moved to court, I got conservatory orders. Of course, the government also realized that they had made the same without public participation. It received the decisions. Of course, it brought another new gazette notice where it brought the ID to 300. But still, although it was fair than 1,000, even changing, even issue of, if you are a Kenyan and you want to change to register a child who was born outside, you needed 1.2 million. So because of that, I went and I got conservatory orders. I saved the Kenyans from extra fees. So sometimes when I save these Kenyans, it gives me more motisha, more fire to continue fighting for what I think is good. Yeah. So in addition, even the ID case went on, and then there was another case in Nakuru where the governor chose CECs are like ministers in the county government. Yes. From one ethnic community. They were the majority. Whereas the County Government Act Section 35 allows that the governor should consider ethnic composition of the county. So of course we argued the case, and the county agreed. The court agreed with me that you need to be fair, because I always believe these public positions are like national cakes. These national cakes should always be shared equally among all Kenyans, because these ethnic communities, it's not a crime to be an ethnic community X than Y. These positions should always be shared. So because of that, the court agreed with me. Of course, the county appealed. The case still is ongoing, but then they got the conservatory orders. Of course, the governor changed some 2-3 names, but then still the case is ongoing. Then the same also happened with the PSS. The current president appointed 51 PSS, where 11 were women. The constitution says that a third of the appointment should be women or men, depending who are men, either gender. I moved to court. Of course, the case was struck out on technicalities. Of course, I disagree with them, but the constitution allows us to put those issues. I moved to court, to the Court of Appeal. So see, the case is being heard. Yes, but my issue is not even that specific community. Yeah. Me, I've always believed that these positions are like a national cake. The national cake should be shared equitably to all ethnic communities. because it's not a crime to be in it in B or C. That's the first selection criteria. The second selection criteria is gender, because we also need to empower women in society. Such that, for example, if you pick or appoint less women, then we are making an equal society. Women are important in society the way men are also important in society. So that's the two major issues I had.
Okay.
So those are the cases. See the case ongoing, but I believe my conviction that the court will agree with me that women and men must be, the end appointment must be inclusive.
Yeah.
Because the Constitution demands so. It's not my thinking. It's the Constitution and the statutes which say so. All said and done, then there was another petition of housing levy.
Yeah, that's the major one.
Yes. The housing levy is where the government has decided through its own wisdom or otherwise that every Kenyan, whether employed or not, must pay housing levy. You must pay, but it's not a must that you can get the houses. So those are the challenges. So from my view, the act the way it is unconstitutional through many other ways. Number one, this housing levy forces people to pay the housing levy, but at the same time does not force them or give them, all of them does not give them houses. It's like 1,000 people pay to get houses. That in itself is unconstitutional. Taxation and the use of taxation of money should always be equitable. Number two, the act envisages a situation whereby you use public land to build houses. But once you're finished building, you sell it or you give it to a private person. That's not, it's unconstitutional in itself. Number three, if you see the salary, not just salary, it's a private property. Because you have worked for it, you have earned. So your salary you have earned is a private property. So when you force somebody to remove part of his salary, or remove part of his property, which is in the form of a salary, to some fund, to build houses for others, that's slavery and servitude. The taxes are deducted from our salary, but they are given to all of us.
Okay.
But this levy, there's a difference between a levy and a tax. A levy goes for that specific aspect. Come on, the housing levy goes for that house. Fuel levy goes specifically for fuel. But if you realize, every Kenyan uses fuel, either directly or indirectly. Because even if you don't have a car, you need some sugar. There's somebody who needs to bring that sugar from point A to B. He needs a road to pass to give you to zero. You see that aspect? So the fuel levy, even if it goes to fuel, it affects all of us. But in the housing levy, all of us pay, but you are given a loan. That house belongs to you. You are the absolute owner of that house. Such that even if you get tired and you don't want to live, you can leave it there. Nobody else will take that land. But if, for example, you build roads, there's no road which can say it's yours. That this road specifically belongs to person X. No. So there's a difference. There's a very big difference. So taxes and levies are illegal by person to Article 201. And even 209. It allows the last two, but the role of those taxes is to enable provision of services to all of us, not individual. For example, when there's what they call right to health, this right to education. For example, in right to education, these taxes can build school. If I'm studying, I go, and if I'm in primary school, I learn from 1 to 8. I get knowledge. After I finish, I get my KCB certificate, I go home. I don't go home with the school. You see the major difference?
Sure.
But this one, we build houses. That house, after having, we all of us contribute in building. But the ownership goes back to you. So those are the issues I'm trying to put across.
Yeah.
Then number 4, the other issue is that Article 43 says everybody has access to housing, a right to access housing, not to own. Those are two different. You can even look for Oxford Dictionary. Owning a house and accessing a house are two different aspects. The same thing, right to access to education, right to access to health. I think, like if you are sick, you have a right to access health, but you don't have a right to own that hospital.
Sure.
Is that aspect?
Yeah.
Right to education. You have a right, come on, kusoma, you want to read, you have a right to go to school. The government should provide a school where you can learn. After learning, getting that knowledge, then you get the education, you go with the knowledge. You leave the infrastructure for the next, because if you realize, even the third issue is the issue of the land. Public land is held on trust by a commission called National Land Commission. This act does not feature the involvement of NLC. And in any case, even this NLC is not that it can decide to do with whatever it does with it. This NLC has, one, it is holding this public land in trust. It's not that it is the property. Like, for example, if I give you my phone to hold it in trust, it's not yours. You're just holding it just for some time, for now and the future generation. So if I give this house to you as a private person, there's no future generation there.
Yeah.
It's your property. You can decide even go sell it. Call somebody even from South Africa to sell for him, because it's your property. So those are the things we are trying to put across. In addition, if you see very well, housing has two aspects of housing. There's policy on housing. It's a function of national government. The implementation of the housing, if you check Schedule 4, paragraph 8D, is the work of the county government. But if you see this act, it's like the national government is building houses. Essentially, it's implementing, which is supposed to be the work of the county government. In fact, like this act is trying to put the county government in a committee so that they can look like they are involving. But the reality of the matter is that this is the fund, which is an affordable housing board, which receives money and uses. It's not the county. The board is not the county. Yeah. So that's why we are putting. In fact, if any, the work of national government is to make policy. Policy is just an English name, gives direction. You just say, this is the direction. Then the implementation, who gets money, who will not get, who gets houses, how to raise money. These things are supposed to be done by the county government.
Yes.
If the government by any chance had an intention that it wants to run, the best thing is to amend the constitution and allow housing, implementation and everything become a national government. But before then, the housing is a function of county government. To some extent, it's true. Any project is starts, whether private or government, will give some people job, but temporarily. You will never be a worker or for a whole of you. If for that project, you become that. But even then, whatever you do should be anchored in law. It's another aspect. Yeah. For example, number one, it says that whatever aspect of that housing, whatever you're saying, is supposed to be done by the county government. But it's being done by the national government. Even if you look at the board itself, even the composition, it's just national government. There are only one or two people from county. In fact, one representation of COG. So that in itself is a problem. Number two, you see, even in Article 41 on the right to property. Article 41 is everybody has a right to property in terms of size, shape, position, style, place. So yani kama unataka kwa nyumba, if you want a house in place X, nobody has a right to tell you have to get a house in Nyayo Estate, the 19th floor, 19A. It's a aspect. Like you are forced to there because that's the only place where housing. But in addition, if you realize, some of us, both the employed and unemployed, wameshachipanga na housing. Others they are servicing mortgages. Others already have built homes. It's that aspect. Yeah. So you cannot force these people to build homes who are servicing mortgages. No. Don't do that. There is a housing, you have to pay this one for this housing. But even then, there is no guarantee that you will pay. And the amount you are being levied is not part of the deposit. It's just a different thing. So then now that becomes a problem. In any case, if there's a good idea like that, make it voluntary. Make it voluntary. For those who wish, there's a vehicle here. You just contribute your money voluntarily. Then you get your house voluntarily. Because by them you were saying, because that's what sometimes children are not criminal liable for their actions. If you get a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, he does a criminal offense, if you take that child to court, the case will not be heard. Reason being simple, they have no capacity to make decisions. It's assumed they don't have. So, but by virtue of reached a stage of majority, which is 18 years and above, the law presupposes that whatever decision you make, you are accountable for them. So if an employee or a person X decides, my housing aspect, I want to leave it. Currently now I live in Nakuru West. That's my constituency, I love it. And that's where my house is. And I'll build there. Nobody has a right to force me to live in Bahati, in a Ghorofa there, the 29th floor, 70 wings, wing C. It's an aspect. Yeah. And in any case, even the style, and the style means how my house would look. Kungine itakuwa like this, kungine itakuwa flat, kungine itakuwa bungalow. Kuna wengine wanapenda bungalow, kuna wengine wanapenda mansion. It's an aspect. Kuna mwingine anataka kuishi Runda. Kuna wengine wanataka kuishi Nakuru West. Kuna wengine wanataka kuishi kwetu Mokonge. So it's not like that. So the constitution says that. Is that possible? Yeah. So the constitution says that you have a style. So number 2, so your land is your personal property and nobody has a right to take it by force. I was the first petitioner against this Affordable Housing Act 2024. Yeah. Because the act was ascended on 19th March, and I filed the petition the same day, 19th March 2024. Yeah. The case is still ongoing at the Milimani High Court, Nairobi. Yeah. Yes, but we are waiting the court verdict, but we have laid our argument. Of course, the government also have a right of reply, so that the court now decides. In my petition, we filed 5 petitions. I was the first petition. Then, and it was one case with 5 petitioners. Yeah. Then there are other petitions. There are 11. Currently, there are 11 petitions against the housing levy, which were essentially consolidated last Friday, the 19th. But then now they are being heard. So we will follow up how the process goes on. So us as petitioners is just put the case forward, then the respondent also reply, they rebut our argument, and the court decides. So I'll just wait and see what the court will say. So number 1, filing a petition is not a criminal offense. Or approaching court is not a criminal offense. It's provided in the Constitution and various statutes. That's number 1. Number 2, he himself filed there was a petition which was filed against him in 2022 elections. And in fact, the court ruled in his favor. And they said it is the work of God. So essentially, it was saying courts have done a good thing. So then it beats logic. When the courts are supporting you, you say that they are doing a good thing. When another person moves in court to oppose your idea, then you say it's sponsoring. Then maybe you should tell us why did not allow the petition to be allowed, so that we go for election for the second time. So in short, what I'm trying to put across, public, especially it's called public interest litigation, is a right. And in any case, we are not doing anything criminal. We just put point across. They are responsible have a right of reply. Once they reply, the court decides. So be it. So I can tell you, number one, I'm not sponsored. I always believe in rule of law. I told you when I was giving you that my life, the way I went when I was a young person, I was from a very poor family background. When I went to study, I had a lot of challenges. This only the court which assisted me. Yeah. So I came to realize in society like us, it's good to fight for your rights. Because we have a society we always develop when it does, we have an equal society which agrees or does what they call with the doctrines of rule of law and the constitutionality. Once several things does that, then at the end of the day, you find that the society becomes a better society. Because sometimes in this life we live in, we may not live for long. But let me tell you, in 100 years from now, none of us will be alive, whether we like it or not. So what will be important by that time is that whatever small we do here, we make it a better place for now and the future generation. Because even right now, if you remember when you were growing, even in the media industry, we used to have only one station, Voice of Kenya. Yeah. It later became called Voice of Kenya. Initially, it was called Voice of Kenya. And in that Voice of Kenya, you would even hear, even in news, from the first agenda to the last, where the president was, whether he went to the church, who they were with. Then after that, then you hear just international news. The wars were Palestine. And then that's the end. But the current thing, we have 1,001 stations and radio stations. If you don't have good ideas, I switch off. I have a remote. I switch next. In fact, even through that, there's what they call media liberalization. That's why even it brought out we moved from analog TV to digital. Yes, yes. So now we have a variety. There's even sports. Those who like movies we want. Nothing ironically through that. This one is only possible because of the sweat of others. If you realize the history of democracy, there are some people who fought for democracy, even a new constitution. Others paid by their life. They died. Because of their death and the suffering, it has made our generation a better place. Right now, you can even criticize the president and sleep well at home. Yeah. Gitambo, or sometimes back, if you criticize a president, you will be lost and you will never be found. Yeah. It's in that aspect. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say, that for us, for society to develop generally, one or two people should say, like, we need to sacrifice. Yes, what I can say, I've been threatened many times. Many times that, if you continue this, you will live, you may not live for long. But I always say, the best person who can protect you is God. Me, I don't have anything. Nobody protects me. Another thing I always be, I believe in God. It's God who protects somebody. Although I've got multiple threats, but I've just moved on. I continue doing my work, what I think is best, and I complain. If there's a violation of a right, I move. Because that's why at the end of the day, it makes society better. For example, I gave you an example that of IDs. People were charging 1,000. When they reviewed, currently 300. That act alone saved Kenyans, some Kenyans, 700 shillings for every ID which somebody wants to apply. These youngsters, because even being a citizen is a right. So when you put an ID very high, it prevents young people from doing what? Getting ID. And without an ID, in fact, you will never get employment. An ID is the gateway to somewhere. It's an aspect. So those are the issues we're saying, that whatever I'm fighting for is not my personal. It's for the betterment of society. Yes, once society becomes better, everybody becomes happy.
Yeah.
Because everything comes in from the media industry is liberal. Even in infrastructure wise, once people pay taxes well, and according to the law, we get more infrastructure. But those taxes and the levy should be within the law. If there is a need for a change, because society is always dynamic, then the constitution can be changed. There is law. There are two ways: through popular initiative, Article 257, or 256, through what you call parliamentary initiative. There are two ways, and nobody has stopped anybody from doing that. But what we're saying, let us have the lawful, because sometimes the challenge we have is that the laws which you put, if you agree them to be used against your opponent, one day you will be on the other side. Is that aspect?
Yeah, sure.
And you will expect the same laws which you were saying they were bad to also protect you. So that's why we are saying, let us have a lawful country which supports the principle of constitutionalism and the rule of law. So that, for example, at the end of the day, when we have constitutionalism, then it doesn't matter who is at the helm. We have the law which protects us. You realize, for example, during the BBI, the government, through its own wisdom or otherwise, gave MCAs 2 million each car grant so that they can pass the BBI. I said, legislation, you become a politician out of your own will. So why should government money be used to pay money or anything else? Why? For you to influence to do something. So that's number one, I saw it was like as a form of bribe. Of course, I took it to court. The court disagreed with me because I did not have enough evidence. But my conviction, and even the Kenyans for conviction, said it was wrong. Even the MCA themselves, they knew it was not good. Because if, for example, I'm a doctor and you come to me, you have a right to be served. You don't need to pay me extra shillings to be served because I'm also paid salary. So that's the reason why I took the matter to court. I saw that it was not fair. That for some group of people to give money in form of car grant to one the buyer so that they can support the BBI. In any case, the BBI fell, but that's not even the issue. The issue is that public money, if you check in Article 201, it says public money should be used prudent, what you call prudent utilization of public resources. Because normally, like in any economy, public money is not ubiquitous. It's not that it's always scarce. Because there are many other things which we need to do. That's what they call prioritization of public resources. That's why we have budget. So let us put priorities. Otherwise, money would never miss work to do. So you said about balancing. So number one, even before we got balancing, I draft these petitions. In my day starts in the morning, where I take some tea, then I do some jogging, then I go to the hostel. In the hostel, I teach some of our students, junior students. They are interns, they are registrars, all of them. And manager teaching is a continuous process. Then in addition, we do a ward round. After ward round, I go to surgery. So I do surgeries if they are there, if there are emergencies, if they are elective. Then I go to the clinics. When I come, I find my children, then I take supper. Then after that, that's when I draft petitions. I like drafting petitions between 8 p.m. and around 1 a.m. usiku. And because it's e-filing, I just file online. And that's all. So that's all. So I have time, especially usiku. If you realize, even this filing and petitioning is a sacrifice because I'm wasting my time, which I would have used to sleep or do other things with the family. But sometimes in a society, you have to sacrifice for the betterment of society. So that's number one. You have already lost each of time, and even comfort. Sitting for a chair because drafting a petition can take even 5-6 hours. And you have to file karibu hapo saa 8 saa 9 ya usiku. then you're supposed to sleep, and at 7 a.m. upatikana hospitali. Uende theater. Like me, I like surgery. I like a knife because as surgeons, we feel happy that we bring happiness to patients. Because surgeons are work, we separate the problem from the patient using a knife. Like me, that's what, and I enjoy doing that. In addition to that, I balance while filing this petition. Also, you use your money, your personal money. Okay, filing a petition is not cheap.
How much?
It can range between 10,000 to even from 10,000 to even $1 million or two, because it depends which type of petition. Sometimes when you want to write a good petition, you need even to go to different lawyers and ask for them for their advice, what they call a professional advice, what you need to put down. Sometimes they can give you ideas. So even when you do that, you pay them. There's nothing for free. Because your problem is not their problem. You can pay them even 200,000, 100,000 for them to give you that aspect. They also do a lot of reading on constitutional law and those acts which you want to go against. Because sometimes in courts of law don't use uganga. Kusema wanarusha hivyo wanasema umewin. No, they consider what you are saying and what the law says. So you have to also read the constitution in details. Read what the court case studies, what are the court said in previous cases. So once you have done, then you write what the court. Then there's always a format of writing. You write that then you file. So that aspect takes a lot of time. For a judge to listen to you well, you must put the point very clear, not vague, specific. Quote those sections or articles of a session, or articles of the Constitution, so that the case can be strong. Yeah. At the end of the day, the case, your work will become very rich. And then once a judge reads it, and he gets convinced, and he considers what we are saying is exactly what the law says, and then he gives you appropriate orders. In any case, I don't. Sometimes I lose a petition. Sometimes I gain. The good aspect is that for every 10 cases I file, I lose one. So I have what I can call a success rate of 9 out of 10. Okay. This also gives me what I call motisha. Yani, it motivates you to continue. You say, okay, as a layman, you are doing something good, so you can continue. Yeah. Because in any case, we are not fighting. We are just issue of conflict on what the law says and what I think it is, and because there's an issue what the law says. Yeah. Then how you interpret, person A interprets this one, person B interprets this one. Then the court as the final arbiter gives the final decision. So when I find 9 out of 10, the court is agreeing with me, then it gives me some motivation that whatever my thinking is looking good. So it motivates. But even when I lose cases, even when I lose cases, sometimes it teaches me how not to do it. Sometimes I always say, like, exactly, I become a better person. It's another aspect. For example, when you have a case A, you fail, the judges have what you call ratio decidendi, and the rationale for their decision. So they give reasons why they have agreed with you. And they explain very well, they quote articles and sections and the precedents. You read apart from the final judgment, there's what they call the board of judgment. It explains to you. It makes you a better person. Okay. So when you write a next petition, you become wiser than the previous one. Okay. Yes.
Oh, great. What's your parting shot, maybe your last word or something that I haven't asked, but feels quite important for you to mention?
Yes. So me, what I can say, I think as a society, let us try as much as possible. We make this society a better place. In addition, if you read, the basic unit of a society is the family. Let us also protect this institution called the family. Whatever your definition of what it constitutes a family, let us try as much as possible protect the family and especially the children, because those are the people who will make our generation move or become a better place. And in addition, when you see, I always believe that the society gets rotten when good people keep quiet. Is that aspect?
Yeah.
So that's why I always say that when you see there's an illness in society, you try as much as possible to try to remedy it. If you succeed, well and good. If you don't succeed, you will have moved from one step to another. Another person will continue where you agree. It will not come from zero. But at the end of the day, let us try to make in our small contribution, because if you realize the world has almost 7 billion people, you may not do everything for the 7 billion people. But what I'm saying, just do in a small way. For example, like me, I'm a doctor. In a small way, I make sure I see my patients very well. I make sure I see my clinics well. I do my surgeries meticulously. So that like a surgeon, when you do a very good surgery and the patient works up well and the feels very good, I feel very happy. Like for example, when I was in one of the hospitals, we didn't have a hospital. We didn't have theater. I used to carry the patient, like pregnant mothers, to where those who need CSS or ectopic pregnancy, which grows within the fallopian tubes. Sometimes the patient can be sent in an ambulance to another hospital. Akifika huko unafanya there is no doctor. And like for example, in ectopic pregnancy, if it's ruptured, if you wait for a bit, the patient dies. I never used to. I feel very bad when my patient dies. So where I was, when I used to go to transfer patients, I used to go with them to that hospital. If I find there's a doctor, I hand over, tell him or her, take this patient to theater immediately. If I don't find the patient, we go together with the patient to theater. Because I'm a doctor, I'm a government doctor, I can work anywhere. I go there, do like in emergency ectopic surgery. I saw the patient. Once the patient is stable, I can now leave him there and I go back to continue with my work. I did not want to have a situation where I have sent a mother somewhere, then he reaches there, well, there's a theater, then there's no medical personnel. I always call first, and then if you call, we move with the ambulance. That's when I was a medical officer. But currently I'm a surgeon now. I really deal with mothers, but I know how they're done. But the whole mark is that in my small way, I tried as much as possible to prevent the death of these women who came to me. Or this, even there's some people who sometimes come, even male, with the stab wounds. They have been stabbed in the chest or something like that. Sometimes you go and you don't have equipment. You want to transfer to them. If you can, then you put some chest tube in the chest. It helps them to balance them. Then that action of putting even a chest tube helps a patient. You put a chest tube, then you transport him or her. Yeah. So you that's what I'm trying to put across. In your small way, you may not do everything. In that small circle where you are, just do something for humanity. You may not get the benefits now, but the society, you could make that society, but it means there will be less people who die. It means if a mother survives, children under her will live a better life than if that mother was not there. If a father survives, is that aspect, that family will live a better life. That aspect of a family living a better life is what I can call my benefit. Because sometimes I walk in the street, I remember patients saying, Daktari, thanks a lot for, you saved my girl, you saved my wife, you saved my father, you saved my husband. When I hear those words, I feel very happy. Oh. Even right now, when I file these public interest litigations, there's some people who know my name, but they don't know me. So sometimes when I say, I'm Dr. Magare, I say, oh, thanks, Doctor, you're doing a good job. I've not told them to tell me like that, but they just tell me, and I feel happy. So that's what I'm saying. In a small way, let us try. Even in government, I also wish the government, I'm not saying that I'm against the government. Let the government do what's good, and I support it. I support the government when it's doing a good thing. But when it's doing a bad thing, I also go against it. So the parting shot I always say, in short, is that as a society, let us try as much as possible. Try as much as possible in our small way. We make this society a better society than we found it. But you see, this money I'm using is my personal money, my salary, which as an end, you cannot say we have limitless amount of salary. So those sometimes at the end of the day, because of filing of this one can even affect the family, because financially you become down. Yeah. Sometimes even in the medical field, sometimes I get so much needy cases, sometimes it forces me even to pay for them.
Really?
Yes. Because sometimes there's a case unapata yani, if he doesn't get, somebody will die. I say it's better I pay for him. Of course, not every case. You can get one or two.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you want to do surgery, but like there's no hospital confirmed. Like like for example, when there's a case where I was traveling, then somebody developed what's called a heart attack. Mm-hmm. Heart attack is when the heart stops beating. Kwa gari too. So what I did, it forced me kufanya nini? Kufanya what you call CPR. CPR ni ile kufinya mtu chest hivi ndio umake the heart. They didn't know I was a doctor, but I knew this sign is a sign of a heart attack. Tukafanya for around 5-10 minutes, then the patient wake up well. Then tuka request the matatu, tukampeleka hospital before we continue with our journey. So that aspect of doing something good, small and this one makes you better. Even akaniambia he doesn't have anything, even in admission. Like during a heart attack, you want the nearest hospital, not the best hospital, the nearest practical hospital. So sometimes if you have even 2, 3, even 10 care, remember, and ujitafutie ukiongea na watu wa kwenu. Ukimwacha hivyo ukiona ku save hands kwa another doctors, una move on. Hata kama if I would have decided, I would have also decided to be like a normal passenger. But also said and done, among the challenges you have is the financial aspect. So sometimes filing this case is expensive. Even those things. So if you have somebody can assist, I would really appreciate it.